Okay, hi, my name is Juliana Carvajal,
Hi, my name is Maria Jose Elga.
and in this video, I want to ask you and discuss a question, and that is, what can you tell to someone that says that colonization led to the development and civilization of the Americans? I want you to base on different dimensions.
Yeah. So first of all, I will criticize his idea of development and civilization, saying that, for example, for dictionary.com, a civilization is when a society is advanced in science, government, and culture, and natives already had that.
So this is supporting a lot of our ideas because, for example, starting with government, they already have their basis of ruling and their laws and organization made by the head of the administrative, political, and legal institution.
Yeah, for example, in the politics, they already had, like, for example, in Mexico, they managed a system that was that was based, for example, that the cacique was the one who ruled like all the society. But when the colonization in the colonial time, that changed a lot because the European colonizers like imposed their ideology that they were better, they have a better system, a government system. So the ones who ruled during the colonization time and after, a little bit after that, America was the government of each conquest. For example, in the Spanish was the kings of Spain.
Okay, so and I will add something to conclude the political, and is that also the politics were in the higher level of the social class. They have a lot of power, so they could demand a lot of the natives to exploitation of resources, and by that they win a lot of profit, a lot of wealth, and a lot of business for their own benefit and for their government to only favorizing them.
Yeah, for example, the government, as they they impose the rules, so that rules benefit a lot the Europeans, because, for example, they rule in America and natives couldn't participate in the government, so there was inequality.
Okay, so I think in the economic dimension that we can include also the exploitation of resources and the exploitation of the humans. In this case, I'm referring to slaves because the slaves were treated as objects and they were not counted in the society.
So, for example, in economic, the natives already had all their all their economic bases. They were advanced in agriculture. For example, they have their irrigation system and all that. So that they were advanced in that. And Europeans, when they came, they changed all that and said that that was not development or civilization, but they use their natural resources for their benefit.
They use their knowledge in the agriculture for their
So in the economic dimension, I will say that our native already had all the bases for living. They were advanced, for example, in agriculture. They had the irrigation system. Also, for example, the Mayas had the Maya calendar, so they were
and the compass.
advancing. Yeah, so they were advancing that. But during the colonial time, Europeans came and changed all that ideology, saying that they were not civilized, and they used their natural resources for the benefit of Europe.
Also, they use the knowledge of the different slaves and natives, knowledge in agriculture, knowledge in the different exploitation of resources. So this is based on the mercantilism that my friend will explain.
So mercantilism was a system an economic system that was imposed by Europeans and developed by them. That was that they bought Americans very cheap their natural resources, for example, cotton. They manufactured them in the corresponding metropole of each conquest, and then sell them again to Americas, or to the rival countries
with a higher price.
Yeah,
winning profit. And also, capitalism is very important in the economic dimension because was a system of economic based on private ownership, profit, wealth,
and investment of resources.
So this capitalism make benefit a lot of the Europeans.
Yeah, because the system brought a lot of inequality also, because
Yes,
Yeah, big
inequality because like natives didn't
Like-
have the same basis
like that.
of money.
Everyone didn't start with the same basis, with the same economic, uh, like income. So
See,
they couldn't.
meaning that more people were more advanced
Yeah,
and
they
people
could.
were lower.
They could invest. Some people could invest more in resources because they had
more money because they.
But if all
more.
the people start with the same income or money, that will be a great system because
And equal.
It will be equal.
Okay, and now we
And
can
finally, like
explain
something
this.
that like additional to what you said about like the resources and all that, I think that they use the cheap labor to take advantage of the slaves and of the resources, because the slaves work really hard on the resources. So for example in the sugar plantations, and the
tobacco.
sugar, and the sugar was sold to was sold by the Europeans to gain profit. So they take advantage of both
Of many resources that
Yeah.
natives and African slaves make.
Yeah.
And now,
So
okay,
talking
so I
about-
want to talking about the cultural dimension. The natives already have their own traditions, their own culture in general,
Language, yeah, all that.
language, religion that led them to live more organized and in a better ways because we're how they
Yeah, they
think.
were an organized society, and I have civilized, like a civilized. They were a civilized society, but then in the colonial time, that this changed a lot because European colonizers brought like their ideology that was like their culture was superior, better. So the natives were forced to follow that
like their
traditions
ideologies.
and their culture.
So talking about the forests, they're like to follow their traditions.
the Spanish conquest.
Yes, the Spanish conquest, like they forced them to talk their own language that was Spanish and to spread throughout the territories.
Catholicism, that was
The
their
Catholicism,
religion,
that
and
was the
followed
religion.
that instead of the gods they used to believe.
Yes, so the natives like tried not to follow them, but as they were superior and they can punish them
Superior
in the talking about the casta system, because as the casta system, like Europeans were on top, and then the natives and
that was another
mestizos.
thing that they changed in cultural dimension. They also changed their hierarchy of the sociological.
Of the sociological
Like-
dimension of that. So,
So
as they were forced to spread the Catholicism,
like to follow it.
like the Spanish conquerors wanted them like to be as they were with their own traditions and not what
Yeah.
they were thinking to be.
Because
So-
their desire in that moment was to spread Catholicism and like to
Speak-
gain
speak
profit
Spanish.
with.
Okay, so as a conclusion, and we get to the same point,
Yeah.
that the Europeans and the Spanish conquest like didn't lead to the civilization and development of the Americans, because Americans already have their own and their basis of political, their basis of cultural, and the basis of
Their economic dimension.
like economic dimension, like that led them to live in a better way. And also taking into account this, we need to think about what happened if colonization couldn't, like if the Spanish conquest couldn't
Hadn't happened.
hadn't happened or hadn't conquered these territories. I think, and we think, that the Americas will continue developing in a better way without
Because
imposing
Anything.
the government.
They would through the time we will arrive to a point of history that they will also be developed as they were. For example, Europe was not colonized by anyone and now is very developed. Europe.
But thinking that like they were like if they were not colonized by anyone, but they use natives' knowledge
Yeah,
for
but
their
they
profit.
but they colonize America. But America will with its bases will at some point be civilized. Like in the concept that they brought us because they were civilized.
And as a final sentence, that is very important for concluding all this topic of that if someone tell us that that colonialism led to the development and civilization of America, this is the
Final
sentence we
sentence.
can say.
So is that first of all not because they were civilized and developed because of the reasons we gave, and besides it benefits only
Okay,
Europe.
so the final sentence we can conclude about all these topics is that
the workforce of American natives and Africans and America's natural resources led to the development, power, and wealth of Europe.
yes, and this can be seen nowadays because Europe is superior like other parts of the world.
Like that concept that they brought that they were superior because they had more
Is
than
still
enough.
nowadays.
Because they had more than enough is still nowadays.